What's up, YouTubers? Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, back at you tonight with Lake Texoma breakdown still going on. We're on Zone 6 tonight. If you missed Zones 1 through 5, just go out and check out our playlist on YouTube. You can find that under Lake Breakdowns. You'll see not only Lake Texoma, but the other 20-something lakes that we've already broke down, and we're continuing to add more and more each month. And don't forget, check out our site, simplisticfish.square.site, to get your cards and get your digital files. Let's jump into this. Here we go. Let's break down Zone 6, Lake Texoma. All right, so if you missed the beginning videos when we talked about the zones, we just went through zones 4 and 5, and I gotta admit, I wasn't too impressed with zones 4 and 5. This was zone 4. This was zone 5. There was some stuff in there, but really didn't see too much that would attract me. Well, I would take that back. Zone 5, no, but zone 4, possibly. But when we actually broke down zones 1 through 3, there was a lot of good stuff in that area. So I think if I was going to go to this lake, I'd probably concentrate more on this middle half of the lake. In my opinion, but I'm not saying there's not a ton of fish up on this arm. There's got to be a ton of fish up there as well. Just something that, that I would just need to get more comfortable with. But definitely from the breakdown I've done so far, I'm thinking really this area right in here seems to be, the area that I would probably focus on the most. So anyways, just wanted to bring that up to you guys, just in case you were only going there for a couple days or something like that. And of course, maybe you have a preference, and maybe this northern stuff where it's a little bit muddier and a little bit shallower is more your taste. I'm not sure, but let's go ahead and jump into zone 6 here. We're going to start right here at the top where it says brush, and we'll finish down here by the rock. And then this will actually take care of us all the way on this section, and then we're going to bounce back and we're going to start our next zone all the way down here, and we're going to cover this whole section of the lake. So it should be pretty fun. We're actually, one more thing I want to tell you guys, we are actually on June of 2014 for this breakdown. So if you're trying to follow along, or if you're pulling up Google Earth, just go up to your timeline and bring it back to June of 2014, and you'll see what we're seeing here. All right, so first things first, the first thing that I noticed right up here was there isn't like an old boat ramp or something. This is over there by those oil rigs still. I believe those rigs were further out here. I think those are oil rigs, not really sure what those are. But as we move down here, the first thing that really stood out to me was the rocks that are right here. So there's a little rock pile that's kind of isolated right in this area. So you definitely want to take a look at that. Also, you have a pretty good transition area going on here. So you've got this lighter rock, kind of sandyish rock, and then you turn over to this red dirt right in here. So this is a pretty decent little transition area. If you're really being picky about this area, you could say that's a pretty good transition area. And then also, if you'll notice, right where I put that TA there for transition area, there's also some debris or something going on there, like maybe 3 big concrete slabs or something like that, but definitely worth taking a look at. And then there's a pretty good brush pile that's kind of accumulated back in this pocket as well. So I put brush here. Those are things like, if you got in here, it was all matted like that, you could possibly punch into that with heavier weights and things, and you'd be surprised at what you can pull out. They love to get in that nasty stuff. All right, so then pulling back out, next thing that I noticed coming over here, I didn't see too much along this bank line, and we'll talk about points and things when we start talking more offshore, and I'll definitely mark points for you if there's something on it that looks really attractive. I didn't see anything really attractive off of this that I'd want to mark, but all points are good in my opinion. So then moving over here, we've got a couple things that are back here. There's a pretty good sized laydown right here. You can see it. I always love it when they do that. And if you'll notice right here by this laydown, there's actually a little ditch right here. So I think you could go back here, work around that laydown, and then possibly look in this ditch and see if they're relating to that ditch at all. That could be a nice little honey hole right there. And then back here, you've got a really big laydown as well. This is a full-blown tree that's came down. So that could be a good one as well. Then moving up here, we've also got another ditch. So I went ahead and marked this one. This one's a little bit bigger. You can see here the shadow that it's creating is pretty significant. So you definitely want to take a look at that one if you're back here fishing this cove or pocket, whatever you want to call it. So then moving on in here, next thing would be this little rock. So notice how the rock along here is pretty light, and then all of a sudden it transitions right here and gets a lot heavier. This area right in here where that change is on both sides is a good area to take a look at, and it's kind of off the side of that point. So definitely would check that out, or at least scan in that area to see if you find anything there. Then moving back in here, just a couple more things to take a look at. We've got a laydown that's right here off of this pocket. And then moving up here off of this second point, got a little rock pile going on. Kind of similar to the other thing where you've got the lighter rock, and then all of a sudden you get into a pile of rocks. Moving further up, you got another isolated pile that's right in here. And then another one, it's a little bit further back right here. So these are all really good transitions. So you'll notice here, maybe not that one, but right here is a really good transition. Right there where I mark rock. Then moving up here is just a lot of different things to fish around. You've got a laydown that's right in here. You've got additional rock that's kind of right in here. So another good transition going on right in that area. You've also got what looks to be like an old boat or something that was sunk. So I put check on there. It's definitely the formation of a boat. Just don't know if it is a boat. Then you've got laydowns that are right here. You've also got another transition area where the rock gets a little heavier right in here. You've got brush back in here, and then some additional rock or a transition line going on right there as well. So this little pocket looks very interesting, and I didn't even notice it when I was in here last time, but it looks like you got some kind of brush pile or debris right there as well. So if I was going to go fish up in these pockets, you could tell that I would definitely be more attracted to this area. You've got a creek that's coming in here as well. It doesn't really create that good of a creek channel per se. You don't see a lot of shadows or breaks or anything like that, but definitely an area that I would take a look at. Then moving back in here, we've also got some additional rock coming off of these points. And then moving further down, we've also got some rock off of this point here. So it comes pretty far out, and I imagine when we do the offshore hotspots, we're probably going to talk about this, but I like how it has a hard top out here, and this looks like it has some pretty good rock underneath it as well. So definitely go out there and look off the tip of that point. That could definitely be a good spot. Then we're going to move back in here. Didn't see too much going on back in this cove, but there are some laydowns, so I marked a laydown there. I also marked another laydown right here, which looked really significant. So this almost looks like a brush pile. Definitely a good spot. If you crappie fishermen are watching this, that would probably be a good crappie spot as well. We've got some rock that's going on outside of this point. So definitely come out here and look on the outside edges of this point right here. You've got some bigger, chunkier rock. You've also got some bigger, chunkier rock right in this area. And then as we move over here, the next thing I noticed, you'll notice they have these hard spots. You got the red clay or dirt, whatever they want to call it, red dirt. And then you've got the rocky area, so the harder area, which is right here. And then you've got a pile of rocks that's down here. Same thing, you kind of got the mud, and then you got a little bit of harder spot right here, and then you got a little point that it makes. So definitely look at these little hard spots that are amongst all that, that soft stuff. Then moving over here, you've also got a ramp. Take a look at that. Hard spot in the middle of a bunch of nothing. And then further back in here, didn't see a lot going on in these bank lines, but there is some debris back here in this little pocket. And you'll see it's pretty significant. So definitely take a look at that, see if you can find anything in that area. Obviously fish around the docks and things like that. We'll talk about these secondary points and things. That one looks pretty decent. But if we move back in here, didn't see a lot of debris and things or rock or anything to really be, cover type of things. But did notice right in here, you've got a little rocky point right here where it's a hard point and everything else is soft around it. You got the same thing going on right here. You've got a really hard point, and then you've also got a creek channel that comes along and hits right in here. So this area right here where I marked rock would definitely be a spot that I would go back and take a look at. We've also got the same thing going on here, another hard point. And then we're going to keep moving on down here. Didn't see much going on along this bank line until I got down here, and then that's when I started seeing some different things. So way off of here, off this point, there's some rocks. Way out there, you can see them. And then if you move in here, there's two isolated piles as well. There's one right here, and there's one right here. So if you're out there fishing that point, definitely check out those three areas. Do some side skating, down skating, or just throw a Carolina rig or something or a crankbait out there and just work over the top of that until you find out where those piles are. All right, so coming back in here, you've got laydowns. So pretty good size laydown right there. And then not much going on in this pocket, but there is a little isolated rock pile right here. We talked about this on the other videos. This lake looks interesting because it looks like you could waste a ton of time beating the bank, but then there's all these little hot spots that you hit. So if you had this card or you're using these points, you could just work these points and your percentage is probably going to go up a lot higher, just because you're going to be a lot more effective fisherman. So then moving over here, we've got another isolated rock pile. And we move down, we kind of start seeing some laydowns and debris. Didn't see anything too crazy. And then we've got a rock pile right here as well, off the edge of the point, so that you know that's going to be a good spot. And then a lay down here. And then we kind of have to move back in here. There was a little creek coming through here, and there's a little bit of a ditch here, but it's not much. So I didn't mark it, but maybe come back here and check this out, especially if there's water flowing through it. You want to come back there. And then moving over here, there is some debris all around this dock. Look at this. Craziness. So again, crappie fishermen and bass fishermen, that looks like a money dock. And then also it's the only dock in the whole entire area, so you know it's a good dock. And then moving over here, we've got some debris that's kind of buried back in here. You'll see it all down in here. I think that's debris. It could be laydowns, not sure what it is, so I just put debris there and marked it for you guys. And then again, you got another creek coming through here, but it's dried up and it doesn't really have too good of a creek channel. Maybe back in here on this bend, like right in here, you could take a look, and you've also got a little bit of a hard spot right there. So maybe right in here would be worth looking at, but it will all depend on how much water's there and what the water levels are. All right, so then moving up here, didn't see anything coming off the points, but there is a laydown that was out here that looked interesting, kind of out here isolated all by itself. There's a couple different things by it as well, but it looks pretty big, so it could be a brush pile as well. And then up here, there's another laydown that looked pretty significant. And then I'm going to keep coming up this bank line. Let me pull back and show you guys where I am, because I'm kind of going fast through this and kind of getting way up here into this arm now. So I'm going to pull back down here. There's the laydowns we just talked about. We're going to come up this bank line. The next thing that we find is there's more laydowns right in here, and then there's rock off the edge of this point. It looks like this was an old foundation or something like that, but this doesn't look like it goes underwater. If it did go underwater, you'd fish around that, but definitely look on the edges of this where it starts to get hard. Look for those hard spots. All right, so then moving up here, we're going to find another hard spot, which is right off this little point. So I marked rock there for you guys. And as we get back in here, there's a nice little rock point that comes out here, and you'll see it has a nice little ridge as well. So you could fish all along that little rock wall or whatever the heck that is. You kind of got the same thing right here as well. And then over here, this one doesn't necessarily have it, but it does have some rock off the edge of it. If you get out off of this side, that's where you're going to start finding the rock. This all looks really, really weird up here. I'm not sure if these were old, maybe these were old wells or something like that. I'm not sure why they come out here like that, but be interesting to know, you guys that are watching this, what these are, what was the purpose of these things. And then moving up here, there is a well there, so that probably is what they were. So then moving up here, you've also got rocks. Check that out. This looks like a really shallow area, so be careful when you're up here. And if you get up here though, this creek still has water in it. Even with the lake being as low as it was, this creek still had water. So you know this is going to be a good area to fish around. So if you come up here, you'll notice the creek bed swings around right here and it runs up against this riprap. And so this area right here would be where I would focus on probably first. It looks like it's got pretty good depth to it. You'll notice there's no water anywhere around this. The lake is pretty much dried up, but yet we still got water in this creek channel. So you know that's a good spot right there. And then also you follow that creek channel down and it makes that bend right here off of this. So if I was up here and let's say that I had to pick between these 5 points, I would go back and start at this area first, fish around this bend, fish around this point, and then I would come up here and fish this one. And if they were both good, then I might, go fish this one as well, because it looks like it makes another bend right here. And then if I was just maybe by then, I'm having a heck of a day and all 3 spots are good, then I'm going to go check the other ones. So anyways, just something to think about. But I mean, right here, you've got a creek channel. You know that one's good. Creek channel, you know that one's good. And creek channel, you know this one's good. Or at least a high percentage area. Now you've also got a hump that's out here as well that looks like it has a little bit of a hard top to it. So you see a little bit of rock out here. And then as we move further down here, I'm just going to mark a couple things for you guys. There's some laydowns here, and there's also like a little rock foundation. And this isn't going to be very deep. There's only going to be a couple feet of water there, if that. But something to take a look at. It's different than everything around it. And then moving back here, you've got a laydown, decent little creek channel, but no water in it, and it doesn't really it's not really significant. It's not very defined, so I didn't mark anything there for you guys. And then moving over here, this is probably the prettiest transition area I think you can see. It sticks out like a sore thumb. You've got mud, and then you've got that lighter rock right in here. So maybe right in here, or maybe right around this point where you can see it gets a little bit harder with all this soft area around it. I'm going to keep moving down. The next thing that I saw out here was just some more rocks. Kind of makes a little point here, and you've got some debris in here. So maybe right in here, maybe worth just going by and just checking it out. If you're up there fishing the area, just scan by it, see if there's any activity there. Also down in here, you've got a couple different laydowns that I've marked. And then we're going to keep scrolling down this bank line. And really, that's really all I would see. Every once in a while, I'd find these laydowns. So I marked them for you guys. You got a couple different ones there. There's about 3 different laydowns right in that area. And then as we move down here, internet keep up with me. Got a really decent one here. And this one looks good too. So both of those look good, especially if that laydown pattern's working. That would be fun just to go run all these different laydowns because they're just kind of random, but they definitely are isolated, which means they probably are going to be good areas to try to find fish. There's another one right there. And then as I move over here, we get right off this point and you start seeing a lot more rock right in this area. So nice, big, chunky rock, just really isolated. Nothing else around that point or anything like that except for those big rocks. And then we get back in here, we're getting closer to this marina. Let me back out again and show you guys where I am because I know we're covering a lot of stuff here. I'm back up here. We've already went up in this pocket. We're going to cover back in here and then we'll finish out. So let's go ahead and move back in here by this little marina. The next thing that I noticed was this ramp that was back here. And then not a lot going on in these little pockets, just some little streams and stuff like that. But you've got a decent creek channel coming back here and you've got water back here as well. So if you can get back up in here, fish these bins, fish that bin, fish that bin. This whole bin right here looks pretty deep as well. Then the creek channel kind of washes out, but then it gets a little bit deeper right here, and then it kind of follows it out. So follow that creek channel back and see what you can find. That looks like a pretty good creek. I love how it still has water in it, even though everything else is pretty well dried up. Then as we move further back up in here, there's some debris up in here to take a look at. So you'll see it right here. I marked it. Might be laydowns as well. I couldn't tell what it was. There's also some rock over here. Bunch of junk back in here, but there is a creek channel back here that might be worth taking a look at. And if you look at it, it's pretty significant. It doesn't have any water in it here, so I'm surprised I marked it, but still has some pretty good ledges. There's a ledge right there. Right in here, it swings and has a little hard spot, so I can see this area right in here being good. And then there's a laydown right here as well. So maybe just go check it out. Definitely springtime, probably. Go look at that. But or if there's water running in there, you want to go back there as well. And then moving over here, didn't see too much going on in these bank lines, but there is some laydowns going on over here. So another good pile right here. And there's an old boat ramp right here that's kind of hidden. That could be money as well. I'm going to swing back out. We're going to get back out more main lake here. And the next thing I noticed was off of this point. So if we get over here and get off this point, you notice it's all kind of the same, but the rocks get a little bit heavier here, and there's something going on here. Maybe like a little dip or something going on right at the edge of that point. So take a look where it shows rock there. You've also got this debris back in here where all that, kind of gathers up. So again, you could punch in that stuff and see if you could find anything in there. And then over in here, you got the same type thing. Got the buildup going on back in there, but you've also got a really good debris pile back here. I'm going to zoom in here so you can see it. So I don't know what the heck this is, but lots of debris, lots of stuff for the fish to hide around. Definitely want to go back there and search for them, see what you can find. And then I'm going to keep moving up. When we get back in here to this pocket, there's a pretty decent little creek channel that comes back here. Let me show it to you guys. You'll notice it's pretty significant. It got pretty good ledges on it. Comes all the way in here. Has a pretty good drop right in there as well. And swings over here, and you've got another decent little drop right here. So it was significant enough that you could see where it was. So I went ahead and marked it for you guys so you can take a look at it. And then I'm going to pull back out here. We've got a couple more areas to cover, and then we're going to wrap this thing up. So we're going to come down through this cove. You don't see too much in that pocket. There's a little creek channel back there as well, but not too much going on. I don't even know if that's a creek channel, maybe just a drainage ditch. And then moving over here off this point, notice how the point's just kind of smooth, but you get over here and you get into some larger rocks. So that's why I marked that rock area, because it's like an isolated large rock pile in that area. So definitely look at that. You want to go down here and look around this bridge. Bridges are always great. But then while you're down there, look at this other debris field that's down here as well. So I don't know if those are stick ups or what that is. There's some laydowns there. Don't have any idea what that is, but it looks like some kind of debris. So definitely look in that area, see what you can find in there. And then right here, you've got the biggest laydown ever. This thing's huge. It goes from right there all the way to here. So if you're fishing that laydown pattern, that's a big old laydown to be able to fish. And then moving on down, didn't see too much more going on in that bank line. There are some laydowns right in here. And if you'll notice, these laydowns are interesting because there's a ledge right here or something going on, a little ledge. But then you've got a nice pile of laydowns right in there. Good crappie spot again, probably, but also a good bass fishing area. And then moving over here off this point, getting back into that red dirt and clay. Didn't see too much going on here, but there is some rocks back in here. So nothing going on there. And then here you finally get into some harder stuff. So right in off this little point right here. You've also got a ramp over here, and then another isolated rock pile right in this area. I'm going to swing back around over here. And the next thing that we found is a laydown that's right here off the edge of this point. Pretty good size as well. Then moving down here, you've got another isolated rock pile. And then just the red dirt, and you got a real good transition area right here. And you've got some really good rocks coming off this point. So I can see this point being a very good point to fish. The rock basically starts here and follow it all the way back to my other mark where it says rock, and that's where it ends. So this whole area right in here could be good, especially if the wind was coming from this direction. All right, so moving over here, next thing that we're gonna find is some more rock. So again, you got this isolated stuff, but right here, you've got a really good pile, like something really large. It looks like maybe a large boulder or something like that. It's actually providing a shadow. So take a look at that one. And then come over here, you've also got another ramp you could fish around. Some scattered rock and stuff, nothing that looked too crazy over here. Back in here, you've got a ramp that's here. You've also got some rock in this area. And then if we get farther back in here, we've got another ramp here, a laydown. We've got several different rock piles here, some big rock piles, like 4 different rock piles. Kind of got the same thing going on over here too. They're like these random piles. So I guess if it's going on there, come back on Google Earth and mark these as well and see if you can get a pattern going there. You get back in here, it gets kind of nasty, but you got some rock along this bank line, and you got a decent little creek channel coming through here. There's a little bit of water in here. It makes a real good swing right here though. Swings against the bank line here and also swings against it right in that area. And then you've got a boat ramp here as well that you can take a look at. But right in here, if I was fishing in this area, definitely right in here and right in here where that swing runs up against that rock right there. All right, so I'm gonna pull back out here. Next thing I notice about all these marinas, that would be tons of fun to fish around all those. But you've also got a ramp here as well. And then here we go again, we've got these isolated piles. So you've got one here, one there. You can see I just kind of worked my way up the bank line and marked them all for you guys. And the last one's got a pretty good transition area on it as well. Then moving over here, we've got a ramp in this area. You've also got some rock off of this point and some more rock off this point I marked for you guys. And then we're going to pull just a little bit further back out here. We're going to get more out towards Main Lake. And didn't see too much going on that bank line there, but look at these little points. I like this, especially this one that I marked rock on. It's got a nice little hard spot on it. It's kind of isolated in that area, so that can definitely be good. You've also got rock around this point. And then moving back in here, you've got another little isolated rock pile. You've got a ramp back here. And then as we move further back in this pocket, you'll notice another little isolated rock pile. So you just hop on these little isolated rock piles and probably have a heyday. You can also go up here. There's another one over here. And as we get further out here, you start to see definitely some harder spots, some rock and thing that you could fish around here. But I just marked the point, but definitely fish around this whole area. You'll notice how it's sandy and then it gets rocky. So anywhere you see that could definitely be a good area to take a look at trying to find a largemouth. Then moving over here, you've got a little isolated rock pile sticking off this little point here. You got this, which is good, but then if you get a little bit further out, you've also got one right in there as well. And then we've got a slab that's over here you can take a look at. And then moving on down here, we're almost done. We've got about 4 more points left. Appreciate you hanging on with me. We've also got some laydowns in here and some debris. Some additional rock right in here. So again, those isolated rock piles. And then here we get into some really heavy stuff. So you get into kind of a little bit of a transition area here, and you get into this really heavier rock. So right around this point looks good. Looks really good. And we're going to finish there for zone 6. Actually, we're not. We're going to do one more. So there's that rock. You got the same rock on this point as well. Sorry, I was 1 point too soon. But that does finish us up for zone 6. There's another one of those rock piles. Man, I'm going to try this one more time. 3rd time's a charm, guys. That finishes up for zone 6. So next time we're going to come back and we're going to talk about zone 7, which zone 7 is actually going to be all the way down here. So let me show it to you guys real quick. That's going to be zone 7. Then we'll talk about zone 8, come up here, and we'll finally finish this thing out with zone 9. So anyways, I really appreciate you guys sticking around for the video. Make sure to go out and get your digital files or your SD cards at simplisticfish.square.site. And last but not least, please hit that subscribe button. It helps us out a ton. And until next time, I hope you catch your PB. Take care.